The shifting walls. According to the legend, the walls begin to move within an old coal mine located on the outskirts of a ghost town. Once inside, the tunnels will shift and change direction, trapping anyone who enters. A group of spelunkers, keenly eager to explore the legend, ventured deep into the mine. To begin with, everything looked normal, dusty, cold, and silent. An hour had passed as they walked for what could have passed as an equal distance each side on the same path. The walls began to shift before their eyes, openings appeared where there were none before, and others closed off. Panic set in as they realized that something was manipulating the mine itself. Then came the sounds. Heavy breathing, but no one could pinpoint where it was coming from. One of them disappeared, swallowed by a collapsing tunnel. The other group went searching for an exit, but the walls were always moving in and closing, so that they were shut inside a frustrating maze. They saw shadows moving out of the corner of their eyes, turn. However, they realized that nothing was there. It wasn't until they found an old miner's helmet, warm to the touch as if just worn, that they knew they weren't alone. The mine had claimed so many lives already, but today it had hunted them down. Their last sight was the glowing eyes of something that had waited patiently for them. The buried ones. A mining company once dug too deep into the earth beneath Mount Grey. The workers hit something strange, an ancient burial ground, hidden miles below the surface. They started seeing things soon after. Ghostly figures standing at the end of tunnels, disappearing when approached. Some heard names called out to them, with no one around. Years later, the mine reopened for a short exploratory season. Treasure hunters of the modern age sneaked in to dig up relics or lost treasures. They entered an old tunnel, apparently bricked over, which was marked with warnings to stay out. Intrigued, they broke through. The stench of decay hit them first, but it got worse. Bones, scattered into unnatural positions, as if something clawed them apart. As they turned to go, the air grew heavier, and voices began speaking in a language none of them knew. First one and then another of them began to hear his own name in hushed tones. Then, figures began to come out of the darkness, pale and eyeless, dragging themselves forward, one by one. However fast they ran, the figures kept pace and closed in. But the worst wasn't that they were caught, it was that no one ever found their bodies. The lamp that never dies legend has it that in some remote part of the ancient Silvercliff mine, there is a lamp that never went dark. Whoever is going to find it will disappear as the miners do. Two friends refused to believe in the rumour and accepted the challenge of entering the underground tunnel without any lighting, as it was thought that no one will believe that they had found a lamp which didn't exist. The deeper they went into the tunnels, the stronger it became. They found the lamp, suspended on a rusty hook in a subterranean chamber deep in the mine. The otherworldly, flickering light cast by it brought no flame, not a little fuel, but light alone. One of them reached out to touch it, and at the moment he did, air became freezing cold. From the walls, faint whispers began to rise, and the light flickered wildly. The path behind them was obscured by the dark shadow that closed down, and all that stood for them was the illumination of the lamp against the darkness. It was growing dimmer. They ran, hearing the heels behind them, yet looking back, there was nothing. They arrived at the mine entrance, and light went out completely. The last thing they heard was footsteps shuffled closer and closer. The echoes of Blackwater Mine. A group of daredevils thought it would be a good idea to check out the notorious Blackwater Mine, which collapsed decades ago and killed many miners. Dozens of miners were never rescued. With every step further into the mine, the sounds of pickaxes and faint coughing became louder. They laughed, thinking it was the wind, until they stumbled on a narrow tunnel, not in any map. At first, it was empty, but as they moved further, the cold grew in the air, and sounds became more clear, like somebody was just behind them imitating every step they took. One of them swore he could see shadows moving between the beams of their flashlight, but when he turned around, nothing was there. The group leader had gone too far ahead, and when his flashlight flickered out, the hearsay came of his scream. But he was nowhere to be found. They panicked and turned to go, but behind them was solid rock where there had been a tunnel. Then came the whispers, this time not from the walls, but in their minds, sending them digging. They are terrified, and awareness, no longer alone, dawns on them. When they finally see what has been following them, the ghostly visage of the miners who didn't make it out, they know it's over for them.